Look, many of the questions that I'm going to bring up you've already touched on already, but I'm going to start at the beginning. You have a admirable background in both military and civilian service. You are currently Chief of Staff of the VA, which isn't exactly a job of chopped liver. It's pretty damn important. Why do you want this job?
Senator, being in a Senate-confirmed position, I can help more veterans. And I've thoroughly enjoyed being Chief of Staff, but being able to implement in ways that, as Chief of Staff, I influence I think would be a wonderful opportunity. And at the end of the day, I just want to take care of veterans. And I can take care of more veterans as deputy than I can as chief.
Okay. This committee, on a bipartisan basis, has pushed the department to hold Oracle Cerner more accountable and secure an EHR contract that not only works for our veterans, but also works for VA medical personnel and the American taxpayer. It's already been pointed out, a new contract, I believe middle of May 16th, was signed. Can you tell us about this new contract? Did you have any, are you familiar with it?
Senator, I'm familiar with it, but I was not part of the negotiations.
That's fine. Can you tell me how this contract puts VA in a better position from an accountability standpoint?
Yes, Senator, absolutely. The original contract was a 5-year contract, so we didn't have the ability to bring Cerner, or now Oracle Cerner, back to the drawing board until every 5 years. The changes that they made under Acting Deputy Secretary Guy Kiyakawa and the leadership team with Dr. Evans is to be able to have 5 one-year contracts. So every year we can hold Oracle Cerner accountable. Second, the penalties are now 30 times greater for outages, and they're now incremental versus just a day. So we have the ability to hold Oracle Cerner accountable in ways that the previous contract did not.
You came out of the military. You, your husband did too. You guys understand how this outfit works. When it comes to electronic health records or the PACT implementation, you are very much dependent on the DOD to do good work for you to do good work. And I will say this, you didn't say this, sometimes the DOD kind of bigfoots you guys out of the road. You, as Deputy Secretary, would serve as co-chair of the VA-DOD Joint Executive Committee. That joint committee recently made the development and implementation of the individual longitudinal exposure record its #1 priority, and thank God, because it's critically important if we're going to get decent PACT Act implementation. Thinking back to your previous times, thinking to this position, how could DOD be more engaged in this interagency process as it pertains to PACT Act implementation, and how you, as Deputy Secretary, could force them to be more accountable to the veteran?
Thank you very much for the question, Chairman. If confirmed to serve as Deputy Secretary, I would hope to work with the JEC to be able to interact with all service members who have deployed so that they have PACT Act information before they ever get out of the military. We really need to have them identified so that they are able to understand what PACT Act is, what those presumptives are, and how VA can assist them so that when it's time for them to go, when it's time for them to transition, be it they retire or they get out, they know the next step is us. And that we're going to not only be able to take care of them, but take the research that we're able to get from EILER and also make sure that we can take care of these veterans, not just right when they get out, but throughout their lives. The other piece is to focus on how we can work with the electronic healthcare record, making sure that the interoperability, that we're able to work through that, so the smooth transition as much as possible when we're able to expand Oracle Cerner beyond just the first 5 sites. The other piece is facilities? How do we look at facilities to get VA access to some of the military facilities so that we're able to have our physicians there, share space, be able to take care? Maybe we partner in ways where we can also take care of active duty while taking care of retirees simultaneously. We have some very unique opportunities.
So on this joint executive committee, you're going to be dealing probably with people that have a few stars on their shoulder and maybe many stars on their shoulder. Does that intimidate you?
No, Senator.
Good. Senator hasn't talked about this. Senator King is also very passionate about it, the transition. We've had a bunch of hearings on transition. You've probably watched most of them on TV. But one thing that is absolutely obvious to me is that if we don't do a better job of transition, we're never going to get our arms around the veteran suicide issue.
I agree.
The transition starts long before they get out of the military. Once again, getting back to the Joint Executive Committee, how do you intend to use that position to influence the military, who, by the way, his main job is to go out and fight and win, to influence them to put attention to transition? And as I believe you've already pointed out, early transition is key. Talk to me about how you're going to get this done.
Senator.
Because we talk about suicide almost every meeting. It's some form or another. It is a huge issue.
Yeah.
Losing one soldier to suicide is too many, and we're losing a hell of a lot more than one. And so, how do you deal with this issue from your position, assuming you're confirmed?
Senator, you're absolutely right. Death by suicide is a huge concern with veterans, and the biggest challenge I've seen is when veterans transition, it's that sense of purpose. It's being able to find their niche when the military is gone and they're out, and it's just so incredibly vital. Partnership with the Department of Defense is key because, as you can see, veteran families, we usually raise more veterans or more military. And so being able to work with the Department of Defense, being able to identify any service members who have struggles so that when they transition, we're able to work with them and know, being able to ensure that they know that the VA is there for them is so vital, and that they're not by themselves. We have to break through a little to get to the active duty service members and Guard and Reserve so that they know that VA is a welcoming home for them. But we also have to make sure that we are that welcoming home.
I think one of the things that I believe you brought it up to was the one-stop shop experience. I think that can make a big difference in simplifying their lives and knowing that we have their back.
Yes, Senator.
Once they get out of the military. Last question before I get to Senator Blumenthal. The VA has reached a number of long-awaited agreements with its labor partners. Tell me how these agreements are going to help support the VA of improving recruitment, retention across the enterprise.
Yes, Senator. Exactly. We're super fortunate. We have NNU, Secretary McDonough went down to Durham to sign that for our nurses, and our nurses are a backbone for our healthcare system. So they'll be able to help us with recruiting, help us with retention, and also raise any issues so that we're able to address them before we have a nurse walk out the door. That's why the unions are so vital and important for us to have that communication.